Morning everyone, we are Group 6 and we're going to report technical specifications. First of all, breadth of knowledge necessary. Almost every stage of industrial operation should cover engineering requirements, and it's obvious that no person should profess experience in immediate operation. For all the multitude of engineering and architectural works, devices, materials, and processes for which such specifications are often needed. Information should be prepared to write acceptable specifications. Even where the specifications are from matters within the experience and knowledge of an individual, and even though he has frequently prepared similar papers and difference in conditions, the advances in art and improvements in method and the specific economies possible usually require thoughtful preparation and readjustment of the ideas that had previously been embodied in such papers. In almost every important work, new conditions and new requirements may involve detailed methods not fully familiar or possibly even quite unfamiliar to engineer in charge, and he is obligated to prepare a specification for an object or result somewhat beyond his experience. In all cases, and particularly in the case last mentioned, the engineering must know either by experience or by investigation the nature of the materials and processes best adapted to the particular case at hand, and the limitation and restriction that is desired and commercially possible or practicable to specify for the guidance in furnishing the materials and doing the work of construction. Every source of information should be utilized, and even these will often be found too limited for useful information. So, ang engineering dapat ay alam mo lahat yung information para mas mapadali yung paggawa o paggawa ng project para matapos agad at maiwasan yung pagkakamali.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Faith Mariel Piropenta. Today I'm going to discuss the detailed information needed. First, qualities and characteristics of various materials to be used. The constructions can be made of different materials. The selection of the same depends on many factors, mainly the type of structure, the budget with which the client has developed the project, and some factors such as mechanical properties, ductility, construction process, seismic behavior, behavior against fire, durability, among others. So, kailangan alam natin yung qualities and characteristics ng isang materials nang sa ganon, maiwasan natin magkamali sa pagpili ng isang materials at para naman malaman natin kung paano ba ito gamitin ng tama. Second, usual and practicable methods of performing the work. In some cases, experience is absolutely necessary for the necessary requirements which should be included in correct specification are not always sufficiently elaborated in available technical papers or books. Third, ability to designate
Hi, I'm Alfred Miranda and I'm going to report outline. So outline is a detailed specification for a material or process. So usually, yung outline, simple lang siya para madaling matandaan tsaka walang makalimutan sa process. So, ayan, reliance on memory. Based on experience, through time, di ba, yung mga engineers. nakakabisado na nila yung process or mga materials na ginagamit nila. Then, next, general plan to be pursued. So, important na lahat ng materials and process ay naka-list down para yung workload na di-divide. So, dito din na naka-list yung mga features ng materials na mahalaga para sa isang materials or sa process. Tsaka yung mga requirements nila. So, ito yung susundan nila para tuloy-tuloy yung trabaho. So, next, purpose of analysis. So, the purpose of analysis suggested is to arrange in logical order the detailed subject matter for any given specification covering in each case. So, dito, kailangan mag-include ng lahat ng items na gagamitin for specific material or process or work. So, yung outline should be sufficiently complete to cover all ordinary conditions and requirements para magamit yung full potential nila.
My name is Carl Junji Arenas, and my report is all about the use of published specification. In preparing for technical specification, the usual method is to select a basis for the new specification, similar specification which has been used on other similar work and which are judged by the engineer to be satisfactory. There is no better source of information than well-prepared specification, nor a better method of study than by a comparison of practice of a number of experienced engineers as expressed by their specification, and no better method of preparation than the adoption of well-considered phrases and entire clauses that are applicable at hand. But there will be some error if we abuse this method, and in order to avoid that, we need to analyze and comprehend the subject clearly. Write the clauses to specify the qualities and limitations desired in order to be clear. Originality in specification writing is not desirable object. In most cases, the more original the specification is, the poorer it is. Well-established guide is a safe guide to follow, especially when proceeding beyond the domain of personal experience. But it is essential to determine that the guide is well established and is a proper guide for the condition at hand. In selecting for use specification prepared by others, they should be modified as the condition demand. This method will give good result by careful discrimination and intelligent study, but it often degenerates into copying with a slight change. To prepare a good specification will require much more than copying of other specification. A well-written specification will rarely apply in detail to other than the work it's prepared for, and the use of specification in other work under different conditions can lead only to unsatisfactory result. When an engineer is in a hurry, sometimes they just copy a clause he didn't understand, as they think this clause is good for their specification, but in reality, they don't mean anything in their specification. In careless use of this method of preparing specification, certain specifications are often selected only because they are used on important work in other places, and not because there is any necessity for their introduction for the particular work in question. In this case, certain specifications are just copied and recopied until they lost their meaning, and in some cases, specifications are copied which may have no application to the case at hand. Among the dangers of copying specification is that the specification is often incomplete, which is an integral part of that is also considered. The dimensions shown in the drawing are rarely repeated in the specification, and if the specification are carelessly copied without due consideration, they may be considered as incomplete in themselves, where such is not the case.
Magandang umaga po. My name is John Robert P. Panaligan, and our report is about technical specification. Today, ang re-report is about simple specification. So, meron tayong ginawang dalawang bullet na tinitle na natin na for simpler forms of labor tsaka requirement for preparation. So, yan, dun muna tayo sa una. Sabi nila, simpler form of labors or in the purchase of simpler materials or supplies. So, mahalagang specification ito when it talks about simple. Kaya kumbaga, ito yung first step. Hindi siya yung gaanong kakomplikado unlike any other specifications. Well, in fact, simple specifications may require only a plain and exact statement of the conditions that exist and the general nature of the machine or structure required to satisfy this condition. This type of specification, hindi naman siya nagre-require ng knowledge about sa specific na bagay to elaborate in this preparation. However, natakal din na knowledge may be required when bids are received in order that an intelligent choice may be made as to the manner and method in which they will be first fulfilled. Doon kasi sa may part na to, may plan na, reason why decisions and analysis has to be made, as well as yung mga ideas and knowledge regarding to that. So, yun yung sa may part ng for simpler forms of labor. Sa pangalawang bullet naman, yung requirement for preparation or the preparation of specification. Di ba lahat naman ng decision, it requires preparation, and from that preparation, it requires complete comprehension and conditions, the ability to outline them clearly and completely so that the manufacturer or contractors will know how the requirements are to be met. Yun. Mahalaga kasi to kasi it requires in understanding both parties to execute well and to meet the requirements. And also in addition, all cases where the specification are only general in character, the contract may be required to furnish the detailed specifications and perhaps detailed plans with his bid, describing and showing therein the special details of the purpose to furnish. Dito din papasok yung ibang mga general na specifications tulad na lang dito na sinabi din dito sa quote na the contractor shall furnish specification describing in details the charter of the work and material to be furnished by him under the contract. Such specifications, when accepted by the party of the first part and attached herein, shall be marked exhibit and shall constitute an essential part hereof, and the work furnished hereunder must strictly conform thereto. So, yun po. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alfred Miranda and I'm here to report detailed specification. So as the construction become more elaborate and details increase, it becomes more and more essential that the specification be complete and in detail. So since nasa construction nga tayo, kapag may nabawas or nadagdag na process or material, pwede magkaroon ng risk sa site. Pwedeng may masugatan, pwedeng mas malala pa. So next, modification of requirements. So in preparation of specification, especially for public work, it is important that provision should be made for modifications. So, di ba habang nagbago-bago yung taon, yung mga standards for construction pwedeng magbago. So, pwedeng mas nadagdagan yung materials or process na gagawin para mas gumanda or para mas makasunod dun sa bagong standard. So, next, the use of standard materials and methods. Specifications not only bind the contractor to perform his work in a certain manner and to furnish material or certain grade. There will be the cost of work and material to be furnished. 'Di ba? Sa usually ang mga materials na ginagamit medyo costly kapag nasa standard, and minsan may nabibili na mas mababa yung grade pero mas mura. Minsan yun yung nagko-cause ng risk. So next, influence of specifications on materials and methods. So the manufacturers who offers a material or machine which is not up to standard requirements must sell to the ignorant or others at a considerable disadvantage. So mahalaga as an engineer na ikaw mismo yung mag-check ng materials. May mga materials kasi na mura pero substandard. Kaya yung dapat gawin is i-check yung material or machine na dapat nakasunod siya sa standards. Or kung bibili ka man tapos mura, dun sa may trusted nyo na binibilan. So next, responsibility. The more general the specifications, the greater the degree of responsibility na yung contractor ay tsaka ng engineers yung nakapatong sa kanila. So kaya kung bibili ng materials dun sa may brand na siguradong provide ng good quality materials or mga gamit or mga machines na gagamitin. So kasi pag nagka-problema sa site or may nasira, may nahulog, ganun, kailangan kasing may managot. So it's either contractor or engineers.
I am Glyris Aliano and I am going to report standard specification. First, what is standard specification? It is an explicit set of requirements for an item, material, component, system, or service. It is often used to formalize the technical aspect of a procurement agreement or contract. Standard specification covers several sections of a tender document for proposed ground improvement works. A standard specification is a document that gives contractors guidance during construction work, that provides requirements, guidelines, or characteristics that can be used constantly to ensure that materials, processes, and services are fit for their purpose. And also, standard specification is a written document that the contractors or whoever professional will make your building give for you to know that this is what we build to, this is what we are going to use as the materials, and so on. And this specification is the last written before the package was issued for tender, and it is changed over time because it is to serve as a guide with the client about what they are looking to achieve on the project. It is the exchange of information between the client and the contractors of what was the client wants to happen to the project that will meet the standard that they set or the MBA standard. Why we need to have a standard specification? Although it is just a piece of paper, it is really important to have this written document because this specification will set us or will be a guidelines for both parties of what they want to happen in the project or what the client want to change about the quality of the materials to fit to their money. Because as I said earlier, it can be changed over time. All of the things that will be on the document are based on the client and the contractor's agreement. The standard specifications are intended to, number 1, provide a guidance document for use by individuals and organizations involved in designing and constructing ground improvement works. Number 2, overall industry costs to design works. Number 3, lower overall construction costs as techniques, specification, and materials are standardized. Number 4, standardize and improve consistency in ground improvement design and construction. It is intended that the standard specification are used as general guidance for technical specification for the foreground improvement methods. Specification can be varied by a project engineer as appropriate. Such variation will depend on the type, size, quality, and performance requirements of any particular project.